Hey everybody, Jason Burmis here, and Memorial Day is winding down. It is Monday, May 27th, and we still don't have a beat on Bilderberg 2019, at least not officially. So, I'm going to show you guys a couple of things, and hopefully, we're going to find out maybe tomorrow where exactly and what exactly is the supposed agenda. So, if you go to their official page that's only been put up in the past decade or so, and you go over here to meetings. We're still from the Turn Italy 2018. Now, Lee Stewie of Press for Truth does some great work. Met her at Bilderberg 2017. She had reached out a while back, and they responded. Okay, so they said, as ever. And thank you, Tim Truth. Really appreciate that super chat. They said, thank you for your email and query. As ever, we will confirm details of this year's Bilderberg meeting in the run-up to the annual meeting. We will publish the location, agenda topics, and full list of participants a few days before. A few is 3. And as we all know, Thursday is when they come in. The hotels are usually shut down. And well, that's it. So today's the 27th. It's a holiday. Still not published. I get it. Bilderberg's an international organization. Does this mean that Charlie Skelton, who's been covering this for quite some time, he said don't quote him, and I kind of hope he is wrong. I hope it's the weekend after this one, May 30th to June 2nd. But no one seems to know where. Well, it's time for people to start calling hotels and seeing if they can book a Thursday, Friday night suite. Some other info that's been gleaned is that it may possibly be in Ottawa, Canada this year. Now, as everybody knows, we are doing a GoFundMe, of which we are a little bit more than halfway to our goal, which is awesome, almost to $2,000. But again, say we find out tomorrow, and it is in Mexico. I'm going to have to fly. I'm not going to be able to drive to Mexico. I have no idea what that flight's going to cost me. I don't know what kind of hotel we're going to do. And like I've said before, think about bailing us out of jail. There's a very real possibility, especially with all the secrecy this year, that Luke or I may need to be bailed out of jail. And then there's the other possibility that it's outside of those 3 places, and unfortunately, I just do not have a passport and cannot get one in time. I'm going to try to get one before next year's conference, believe me, well before. But Luke will be on the ground, definitely, 100%. So I thank everybody that has contributed so far. So before I go over a clip of Invisible Empire and another documentary I want to talk about, I wanted to talk about David Rockefeller for a second because he's a driving force in this. Okay, so right here, Rockefeller, I was unaware about this, but a few years before his death, this is published in 2018, but this is a European documentary on Bilderberg. And they actually, other than interviewing Rockefeller and talking to him, they have some recordings from the initial 1954 meeting. Really interesting stuff. Now, that being said, I think the native language is German. So when they go to everybody, it's hard to understand them. I am not German. Hopefully someone can translate this and put this on the web. But it was really, really interesting to me. And in December of 2017, right around the new year, this article came out. I did a story for We Are Change on it. And it explained these Rolodexes that Rockefeller had. So long before a computer hard drive or walking around with your phone with all your contacts, he would actually, ex-military intelligence, by the way, he would actually mark down where he had met some of these people, and then, what was the last time, some of the small talk, their information. I mean, there you go. There's a fax number. There's phone numbers. This is Nelson Mandela you're looking at. More importantly, here's Henry Kissinger. Now, some of these people would get more than one card because they were so important or we come across them so many times. Well, take a look right there. 57, Bilderberg Conference. These guys are the architects, man. Understand it. Prince Bernhard of the Netherlands helped put this together. The royal elite out of Europe, the elite out of the United States, and the big think tank players like Kissinger. That's why I used Kissinger in the thumb of this. And Kissinger had many of these. So he becomes a real big protege right here. in 55, really, when he meets him at the Council Study Group. And I believe that's the Council on Foreign Relations, a foreign policy thing. But then Bilderberg becomes very, very important. Rockefeller was a smart guy. They're showing one right here for Kennedy. So what I wanted to do was play my Bilderberg section from Invisible Empire. Now, I'm also going to add in the Trilateral Commission section, which is shorter, to show you how these organizations interlock and how Kissinger and David Rockefeller were heavily involved in all of them. So without further ado, here is a clip from Invisible Empire describing the Bilderberg Group.
This was the public face of global governance. However, many other organizations have been birthed since.
Even more suspect is a private group called the Trilateral Commission.
David Rockefeller and Henry Kissinger are among its some 300 influential members.
The Trilateral Commission, rich and powerful business and political leaders from Japan, Europe, and North America. The New York-based policy group was formed in 1973 by Chase Manhattan Bank Chairman David Rockefeller. In addition to Rockefeller, there are many other noted American members. Among them, economist Alan Greenspan, former Defense Secretary Harold Brown. George Bush was once a member, but resigned last year before his unsuccessful presidential campaign. Back then, it wasn't politically wise to be aligned with what his party's right wing considered a shadow world government.
The United Nations would take over America. The Trilateral Commission would control the world. Just look at its membership, they say. Current and former members include Presidents Clinton, Bush, and Carter. Names like Brzezinski, Christopher, Kissinger, and Schultz. And top executives of ITT, Xerox, Exxon, and Nations Bank.
Although this group with only 300 members seems to be at the apex of the power structure, there is yet another group formed in 1954 that is even smaller in number and has a greater influence on world events. Meet the Bilderberg Group. This elite group meet annually around the globe. There is a core group of members who have attended every year for decades, such as David Rockefeller, Henry Kissinger, and Queen Beatrix of the Netherlands. These members invite others who are politically and socially relevant at the time. Each year, around 140 people are in attendance.
Real quick, I asked you this question. In 2004, you attended a meeting in Italy called the Bilderberg Group. I just want to know what you were doing out there, what that was all about. If she lied to me and told me she didn't go, I figured you might tell me the truth.
All I did was go. They had a Republican and a Democrat. I gave like a 20-minute talk on the presidential election.
You didn't have anything to do with being John Kerry's running mate? You talked about that at all?
No, because I wasn't his running mate.
So let's stop it right there. I love that. By the way, the Jackman brothers still doing a lot of great work. One of them doing a great impersonation, I believe it's Eric, of Donald Trump out there, if you haven't seen. And they just did a really good interview, Politics and Pints. I've tweeted it. If you're not following me on Twitter, go check that out. With Tulsi Gabbard. Really good stuff a few weeks back. They're really entertaining guys. And there you go. There's just a little piece of that power structure. When he went, he all of a sudden became, now he was already in the debates, John Kerry's running mate as the vice presidential candidate. John Edwards, laden with scandals, by the way.
Okay.
I happened to be in Europe then on my way to Russia. I was invited to go to Bilderberg by Vernon Jordan, a friend of mine and a genuine hero of the civil rights movement. And to the best of my knowledge, NAFTA was not discussed by anybody in my presence.
Documents released by the group in 2001 reveal that in September of 1955, the group met in Germany and covertly outlined the idea of a European Union. Section E, European Unity, discusses the general support for European integration and unification, and the idea to unify Germany once again with the rest of Europe under a common marketplace. Belgian Viscount and current Bilderberg chairman Etienne Davignon told the EU Observer in 2009 that the next Bilderberg meeting could improve understanding on future action in the same way it helped create the euro in the 1990s.
Okay, you see that? Oh, it's not a policy meeting. We're just creating the euro. Oh, just a steering committee member coming out in the media and talking about how the Bilderberg Group helped create the euro. No reason to worry about that.
Demonstrates the patience, vision, and reach of this organization. It was able to promote and establish both the European Union and the European currency over the course of just under 40 years, incrementally.
One of the things that the elitists discussed back at the turn of the century when they were talking about how do you convert the United States into a collectivist system was the fact that you can't do it quickly. You have to let people get used to it incrementally, because any major change would be rejected.
The 1957 Conference of Rome, where the Common Market Treaty, providing for free trade in all products, was at last signed. 6 nations, France, Germany, Italy, Belgium, Holland, and Luxembourg, agreed to remove all mutual barriers to trade within 12 to 15 years, the embryo of a political union which they proclaimed to be their ultimate objective.
In that fashion, it's possible for people to get used to this process and even to think it's a good thing. People will accept the gradual growth of government, the gradual loss of their purchasing power. They'll accept almost anything if it's done gradually. And we have to be very alert to that.
2008 and 2009 attendees include World Bank President Robert Zoellick.
And let's not forget, I confronted Zoellick in 2017. You can watch that video for free on this very channel. I think I put that out there about a week and a half ago.
Treasury Secretary Timothy Geithner, former head of British Secret Intelligence Richard Dearlove, Donald Graham, CEO of the Washington Post, CNN host and author of the Post-American World, Fareed Zakaria, and many other giants of business, politics, and media.
You just came back from meeting with the Bilderberg Group. The Bilderberg Group are, you know, when people who are conspiracy theory people, they send me mail, it's usually about the Bilderberg Group. And I get these books on my front door, which I'm uncomfortable with, and it's all about the Bilderberg, like they're the modern day Illuminati. Are you a member of the Bilderberg Group?
I don't think we're supposed to talk about this.
Many have identified them as the kingmakers, the puppet masters that pull the strings behind the scenes. Perhaps there is no better example of this than what occurred during the 2008 conference. Immediately after Obama had been selected as the Democratic presidential nominee, the pressure was on to choose a running mate.
We've put together a committee. We are going to be equally deliberative in how we move forward. And we're not going to do it in the press, and we're not going to do it through surrogates.
He then tricked the press corps into staying on the plane as it took off from Washington. He was whisked away to an undisclosed location.
Obama was supposed to fly home. He'd been here in Virginia. He was supposed to fly home out of Dulles, as you know, outside Washington, D.C. The press corps was waiting for him on the plane, and the pilot announced that they were leaving, and Barack Obama was not on the plane.
Presumptive nominees in the past has always been that they have at least a press pool with them at all times. Is there a reason why we didn't go with him in the motorcade all the way? This is what we're out here for. Now we're on this plane with no candidate.
Again, you know, look, I understand. There was a desire to do these meetings, obviously, in private.
The press then began to report that Obama and Hillary were meeting secretly in her home.
Well, we continue to follow our breaking news. Barack Obama, Hillary Clinton meeting tonight at her house in Washington, D.C.
However, it was later revealed that they never actually met at Clinton's home.
Oh!
And we're following this breaking story. Candy Crowley, we understand, has new information. Candy, what have you learned?
We are hearing actually from Chris Welch, who is our embed with the Obama campaign. Those are the people that took off without Obama and went to Chicago. The spokesman there is in fact confirming that the meeting did take place. They're talking in past tense now, but saying that the meeting did not take place at the Clintons' house. It took place at this point at some place, I don't know where, some undisclosed place in Washington, D.C., not at Hillary Clinton's house.
Remember, Gibbs mentioned that Obama had a desire to have several meetings, not just one.
Is there more than one meeting? Is there more than one person with whom
I'm not going to get into all the details of the meetings. I don't know that I've got a ton more different answers for all of your questions.
The truth of the matter is that Bilderberg just happened to be in the neighborhood at the time. They were holding their annual meeting just down the road in Chantilly, Virginia. What are the chances?
What's interesting and dangerous about the New World Order is that it's not a natural progressing idea. It's just not civilization naturally evolving and organizing into this system. It's the group of extremely powerful people that are manipulating the system to get it to this status from behind the scenes without anybody's knowledge.
And there's Mark Dice. And, for those that don't know, I do Mark Dice's book covers. I actually just talked to Mark last week. We may not agree on everything, but I really do love his work. And from there, it gets into the military-industrial complex. So, to show you guys how crazy it is this year and how under wraps it is this year, I check every day to see if there's any news whatsoever. I go by date. I'll look everywhere else. Guys, it's a ghost town here. This is mentioning it in passing, and I think that's a reprint of an earlier article. Right here from May 7th, possibly. So look at all this. You're telling me in May, right before the Bilderberg conference, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 articles, and then you go all the way to April? 7 articles? There's 7 articles out there. Guys. And you know that the tomorrow's news today, they ain't touching it right now. They're not even talking about it. So once again, if this isn't a few days, as my contacts have told me they suspect it is, they said not quote him, I'm going to follow up. I'm going to try to find out. I want to once again remind everybody that with your support, we're definitely going to cover it better than ever this year. Like I said, we're a little bit over half right now over at the GoFundMe/Bilderberg. 2019, but wherever it is, we are going to cover it. And let's not forget, Luke has confronted people at Bilderberg, such as Peter Thiel, who's on the steering committee, who's the president's current technology advisor, the man behind PayPal, an ex-executive at Facebook, the co-creator of PayPal with Elon Musk. These are huge, huge accolades, not to mention that he just continues. He got an interview with Boyan Slat, who was invited a couple years back after the fact. Larry Summers, all sorts of globalists. And it's important that we confront these people and that we ask them what's going on. Because, again, they are violating the Logan Act. They are committing international acts of treason behind closed doors. There was a reason that our forefathers said, hey, these foreign entanglements at least have to be above board. We have to know what you're doing. We don't want you colluding with big business and governments of other nations. That's how treason happens. That's how real espionage occurs. But apparently, that's how open globalization under this Rockefeller, Kissinger ideal also evolves. Guys, I want to thank everybody in the chat room that threw me some super chats. Tim Truth, you kick ass, brother. Couldn't do it without you guys. Please like, share, and subscribe. If you haven't already subscribed and rang the bells, ring the bell. Make sure you get every notification or you'll probably get none. We were on a great trajectory with this channel to hit 30K. And really, I lost some subscribers this week. I don't know whether it was telling the truth too hard on the Trump administration. I know that bothers some people, but hey, I'm not left or right, or, I'm just not getting recommended enough. So I'm going to keep striving through. That road to 30K is very real. Once we hit 20K, we're going to do another AMA-style broadcast where you guys come in and just ask me anything you want, and I'll answer the questions because that's how we do. It's a transparent program. You can check out my other daily stuff over at We Are Change and News for a Change. And once again, I thank you guys all for joining me on this ride.